Welcome to the channel Fight Fans, where we explore the most intriguing scenarios in mixed martial arts history. Today, we're going to answer the question, what if Conor McGregor stayed at featherweight? Conor McGregor is one of the most popular and successful fighters in UFC history, but he is also known for his frequent changes in weight classes. He became the first fighter to hold two UFC titles simultaneously when he knocked out Eddie Alvarez at lightweight after dethroning Jose Aldo at featherweight in just 13 seconds. But what if he never moved up to fight Nate Diaz or Alvarez and focused on defending his featherweight belt instead? To find out, we used the game UFC 4 to recreate McGregor's featherweight career, using the rankings and matchups that were available at the time. We assumed that he would fight every 6 months and face the highest-ranked contender in his division. After beating Aldo at UFC 194, McGregor's first title defense would have been against Frankie Edgar, who was ranked second at the time. Edgar was a former lightweight champion and a tough wrestler with great cardio and boxing skills. He had won 5 fights in a row, including a first-round knockout of Chad Mendes. The fight between McGregor and Edgar would have been a classic clash of styles, with McGregor's striking and power against Edgar's wrestling and endurance. We simulated the fight in UFC 4, and here's what happened. After knocking out Frankie Edgar, Conor McGregor had successfully defended his featherweight belt for the first time. He was now the undisputed king of the division, and no one seemed to be able to challenge him. But there was one man who had been quietly climbing the ranks, and who had a score to settle with McGregor. His name was Max Holloway. Holloway had faced McGregor back in 2013, when they were both young prospects. McGregor had won that fight by unanimous decision, but he had also suffered a torn ACL in the process. Holloway had gone on to win 11 straight fights after that loss, including impressive victories over Cub Swanson, Ricardo Lamas, Anthony Pettis, and Jose Aldo. He had become the interim featherweight champion, and he was ready to unify the belts with McGregor. The fight was set for UFC 212 in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. It was a huge event, with millions of fans tuning in to watch the clash of the featherweight titans. McGregor was confident as ever, taunting Holloway at every opportunity. He called him a blessed boy, a pea-head, and a poor man's version of me. He said he would finish him easily, just like he did with Edgar. Holloway was unfazed by McGregor's trash talk. He said he had improved a lot since their first fight, and that he was not the same fighter anymore. He said he had learned from his mistakes, and that he had developed his own style of fighting. He said he would expose McGregor's weaknesses, and that he would shock the world by dethroning him. The stage was set for one of the most anticipated fights in UFC history. Who would emerge victorious? Who would be the undisputed featherweight champion of the world? Let's find out. Now that McGregor has secured a decision win over Max, proving that the mythical fighter motivated McGregor does indeed have cardio, he is looking for his next challenge in the featherweight division. However, there are not many options left for him, as he has already beaten the top contenders. The only fighter who could give him some trouble is Ricardo Lamas, who is ranked third and has a well-rounded game. Lamas is coming off a dominant win over Jason Knight, earning him a title shot against McGregor. The hype for the fight is moderate, as many fans are not very excited about Lamas as a challenger. Lamas is seen as a gatekeeper in the division, and has already lost to Aldo and Holloway in the past. McGregor, on the other hand, is confident that he will finish Lamas in the first round, as he has done with most of his opponents. He also mocks Lamas for his nickname the Bully, and says that he will teach him a lesson in respect. The fight night arrives, and both fighters make their way to the octagon. The crowd is mostly in favor of McGregor, with some boos for Lamas. The referee gives them the final instructions, and they touch gloves. The bell rings, and the fight begins. As you can see, motivated McGregor makes it look easy, landing a crisp uppercut counter on Lamas, then taunts him and sleeps him mid-taunt with a left straight. Light work. McGregor defends his featherweight title for the third time and extends his winning streak to 10. He celebrates by jumping on the cage and shouting at the crowd, "Who the fuck is next?" A good question, to be honest. Who the fuck is next? So what is next for Conor? After his dominant first-round finish of Ricardo Lamas, he is looking for his fourth title defense in the featherweight division. This takes us to 2018, where Brian Ortega is the next top contender that McGregor hasn't defeated. Ortega is a dangerous grappler who has never been finished in his MMA career and has pulled off several come-from-behind victories. He has earned his title shot by knocking out Frankie Edgar, the former lightweight champion and a legend of the sport. The fight is a striking clinic for McGregor, who outboxes Ortega for 4 rounds and wins by doctor's stoppage. McGregor defends his featherweight title for the 4th time and extends his winning streak to 11 and remains undefeated in the UFC. After his dominant win over Brian Ortega, he decides to take some time off, as he has been active and needs to heal some nagging injuries. This leaves an interim belt for the next contenders, who by Conor's return in 2019 would have been Max Holloway and Alexander Volkanovski. Now imagine, in Conor's absence, that Volkanovski versus Holloway happens for the interim belt, and Volkanovski wins by unanimous decision. He becomes the interim champion and sets up a fight with Conor McGregor. However, this is not the Volkanovski of today, who has beaten Holloway 3 times and defended his title against Brian Ortega, Yair Rodriguez, and Chan Sung Jung. This is the Volkanovski who has just beaten Holloway for the first time and is still relatively unknown to many fans. Everyone would lean on Conor being a massive favorite, as he is the greatest featherweight of all time and has never lost in the UFC. However, this is where Conor's reign ends. Due to the time off, he returns still McGregor, but not the same fighter. And of course, we are all about to learn about Alexander Volkanovski. I think this is a fight that Volkanovski would win, and it would start the reign that has so many people in disbelief today. However, it would have begun even better for Volkanovski, as he would have defeated the greatest version of Conor McGregor to do so. Now, of course, being such a superstar and a long reigning champion, Conor would of course receive an immediate rematch. But again, I think Volkanovski beats him in even more decisive fashion due to McGregor's mindset of already once losing to him. With Volkanovski having now defeated McGregor twice, that's the end of McGregor's title run at featherweight. So, despite being in 2 minds of whether Conor would have even defeated Max in the rematch, as I mentioned earlier, if he had, he could have potentially gone on to defend his title 4 times after knocking out Aldo, before ultimately losing to Alexander Volkanovski. What do you guys think? Do you even think he beats Frankie or Max again? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to the MMA Spokesman for more hypothetical UFC scenarios. Thanks for watching.